These are the top 10 traditional heavy metal albums of 2025.
The only thing that gets me through my day is just heavy metal.
This one was pretty hard to compile. I had a lot of contenders given this is one of my favorite genres of metal. There will be some old bands and some new bands. I will be doing these all throughout December. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss anything. Let me get right into it. Coming in number 10 is Reinforcer with Ice and Death. They are a German power metal and heavy metal band. They formed in 2015. This is their second album. This is like a hybrid of heavy metal and power metal. It probably could have gone on the power metal list, but I felt the sound leaned a little bit more towards traditional heavy metal. Some of the standout tracks include Air of the Bear, with a pretty cool drum and bass intro with some melodic guitar riffs. There's also Dead Men Tell No Tales, which had more of a melodic hard rock sound with big and soaring vocals. There was Skoganor, which has some cool neoclassical guitar playing. It reminded me of classic Iron Maiden. There was The Witch Mayor. This track was very catchy, had some great hooks. It was one of the more melodic songs that leaned more on the power metal side. That was the clip I played in the beginning. There was a title track, Ice and Death, and this one sounded more like traditional heavy metal, something along the lines of classic Judas Priest from the early 80s. And there was a track called The Piper, and I could probably say the same thing about this one, definitely leaning more towards early 80s traditional heavy metal. Overall, another really good band. If you like bands that play this hybrid of traditional heavy metal and power metal, I recommend you check it out. Coming in number 9 is Rising Steel. They are a French heavy metal band. They formed in 2012. The album is called Legion of the Grave. It's their fourth full-length album. The band sounds like some of the legendary heavy metal bands from back in the day. I would say their main influence would be Judas Priest. You could hear that in the first two tracks, which are Betrayer and King of the Universe. But they also have another track called Black Martin, which was a little slower. I thought it sounded more along the lines of Candlemass. There are other great tracks like Legion of the Grave. This one has lots of energy and galloping guitars, as well as some harsh death growls. The album also has some cool old school Metallica sounding guitar riffs that reminded me of that And Justice for All era. Overall, the band is keeping the new wave of traditional heavy metal alive. If you enjoyed some of the classic bands that I mentioned, I think you can definitely get into this album. Coming in number 8 is Tokyo Blade with Time is the Fire. If you didn't know, Tokyo Blade is an English heavy metal band. They have been active since the early 1980s. They're part of the new wave of the British heavy metal movement. They have a classic heavy metal sound, and the band has gone through several lineup changes and periods of inactivity, with guitarist Andy Bolton as the only constant member. The album Time is the Fire is a strong return to form and has the classic twin guitar heavy metal sound with melodic hooks and powerful vocals. Standout tracks include Feeding the Rat, Soldier On, and The 600, all of which have that classic heavy metal sound. The only real negative with the album is it's very long. It's an hour and 15 minutes long. But with that being said, the album has a lot to offer. There's some other stuff on here like The Enemy Within. It's a darker ballad. And the ending album with a song called Ramses, which is this big and epic progressive rock track. And if I have another minor nitpick, is that the vocals sound a little processed at times. But despite these negatives, I really enjoyed the album. I just thought it was a little long, but otherwise it has some good songs and it made the list. Coming in number 7 is Burning Witches with Inquisition. This is their 6th studio album, released on August 22nd, 2025 via Napalm Records. If you didn't know, Burning Witches is an all-female Swiss heavy metal power metal band formed in 2015. They have a very powerful old school sound, reminiscent of some of the classic legacy bands like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, and Warlock. The album is a blend of power and heavy metal, featuring strong riffs, double bass drumming, and powerful vocals. It's also a loose concept album about violent times throughout history. There are some standout tracks like Soul Eater, has some very powerful vocals, as the melodic guitar playing of Courtney Cox. There's also The Spell of the Skull, which has a sound that blends traditional heavy metal with power metal, but with a very dark and evil tone. I think my favorite song is the one I played in the beginning with the clip. It's called High Priestess of the Night. I like it because it had more of an early retro 70s heavy metal sound. And there was a track called Burn in Hell, which is just pure traditional heavy metal. Overall, One of those bands I've been following for a few years now. I've listened to their previous albums. It's not their best album. I think some of the other ones might be a little better, but this one is still very strong and good enough to make my list. Coming in number 6 is Rage with New World Rising. This is a German heavy metal band that's been around for a long time, and this is their 25th album. It's also the first time I ever listened to the band. I've had heard of them before, but I never took the time to listen to one of their albums. Like, they have so many of them. I finally came around to checking out this band, and I like this album a lot. It's a concept album about a warning of a possible dystopian future. And the album opens with an intro track going into the first main track called Innovation. It's a very fast and powerful track. Lots of guitar riffs and intense vocals. There's the track Freedom, which was a little heavier and went into some thrash metal territory. And the track Cross the Line, which I felt had more of a modern sound. Kind of reminded me of a modern metalcore, so I imagine this band is updating their sound. The same can be said for the song that comes right after it called Next Generation. It had that same type of sound. And there was a power ballad called Fire in Your Eyes. Overall, I'm glad I finally got a chance to listen to this band. I really like this album. For that reason, it is in my top 10. Coming in number 5 is Volbeat with God of Angels Trust, released on June 6, 2025 through Vertigo Records, Republic Records, and Universal Records. It's the 9th studio album. They are a Danish heavy metal band which incorporates elements of thrash and rockabilly, so they're very unique. This is also their first studio album following the departure of guitarist Rob Caggiano in June 2023. It has some good tracks like the opening track called Devils Are Awake, songs with hard driving rhythm and some heavy chugging guitars and melodic vocals. There's also By a Monster's Hand, which has these Metallica Black Album style guitar riffs and pretty cool music video. There's a song Acid Rain, which has more of a pop punk type of influence, but it maintained that classic Volbeat sound. It's just one of the more radio friendly tracks. After that, there's a song Demonic Depression, which is one of the heaviest tracks on the album with some very thrashy guitar riffs. And after that is a song with a very long title about a goat, and it sounds like Johnny Cash mixed with some classic Black Sabbath with his doom metal, but that signature Volbeat sound. That was kind of a weird song, but overall, the album has a lot of variety. It's solid, and that reason I have it on my list. Coming in number 4 is Witch Hazel with V, Lamentations, or their 5th album. They are an English heavy metal band. I've been following them for about 5 years now. The album is solid. They're continuing their signature style of this retro 1970s style hard rock and classic heavy metal. Most of the song lyrics are based in Christianity. Some of the standout tracks include The Citadel, Heavy Load, and Woven. The album has this natural progression of the band, and it's a really good entry point if you're a new listener. The band started to move towards more of a harder rock sound with darker, more reflective tone, in addition to songs with more of a folk sound and a psychedelic rock sound. The songs feature lots of twin guitars and memorable hooks, and the album has a very solid level of musicianship, and the production is very good. Sounds like an album that was recorded 50 years ago. One of the best things about this band is that they are very unique. I've not heard any other bands that are currently making music that sound like this band. You could probably compare them to the music of bands like Uriah Heep and Wishbone Ash, but the albums they were making like 50 years ago. This is the only modern band that has really locked down that sound, so for that reason, it's on my list. Coming in number 3 is Tremonti with The End Will Show Us How. This album was released very early in the year. It was one of my first reviews of 2025. Most of you know Mark Tremonti. He's the guitarist of 3 major bands, which is this one, Creed, and Alter Bridge. I would say this band, Tremonti, is the heaviest out of the 3 bands, although this album is probably moving a little bit more towards a melodic hard rock and post-grunge sound. Mark Tremonti is in top form on the album. The album still has lots of heavy metal style guitar riffs. Songs are more in the form of hard rock anthems that would sound perfect in a live setting. Some songs have elements of progressive rock, which include different time signature changes and complex song structures. Some of the standout tracks include Nails, which is an aggressive and fast-paced track with some awesome solos. There is All the Wicked Things, which closes the album and includes some keyboards in the mix. There is also more atmospheric songs, such as It's Not Over and the title track, which has some cleaner vocals by Mark Tremonti. Overall, it's my favorite album by Tremonti, and I might even say that Tremonti is my favorite band out of the 3 bands I mentioned before, so for that reason, it makes the list. Coming in number 2 is Wednesday 13 with Mid-Death Crisis. If you didn't know, Wednesday 13 is the stage name of a musician named Joseph Michael Poole. He was previously the singer of the band Murder Dolls, which also had Joey Jordison at one point. He's a combination of horror punk and glam metal. I thought it was a very fun album. He has a style very reminiscent of Alice Cooper and Rob Zombie. And I think that's the reason I like the album. I'm a big Alice Cooper fan, and does a really good job paying tribute to him. The album's very catchy, production is raw, and songs have lots of energy. Songs are very over the top and sometimes cheesy. The album also has guest appearances from Tie Me Down, from Faster Pussycat. Some of the key tracks include Deceased and Desist, filled with energy and has some awesome riffs. There's also When the Devil Commands, which is a very catchy track with a big chorus and a foot-stomping beat that reminiscent of the music of Rob Zombie. There is Decapitation, which is more of a punk rock track and has some of these doo-wop vocals. And there are also some mid-tempo and ballad-like tracks such as I Hurt You and My Funeral. The album closes with the track Sick and Violent, which is a very energetic song that closed the album. I may be biased, as I am a big Alice Cooper fan, but it had to make the list. Coming in number 1 is the Michael Schenker Group with Don't Sell Your Soul. If you didn't know, Michael Schenker is the legendary guitarist who started out with Scorpions in the early 70s, then went to UFO in the mid to late 70s, and then he went solo in the 80s. And he's been putting out music ever since. He has had a very long career. He has a new lineup and a new vocalist who is Eric Ronwell, previously of Skid Row. And it's supposedly part of a trilogy which started last year with the album My Years with UFO, so this is the second one. The title track is one of my favorite heavy metal songs of the year. That was the clip I played. It's very catchy and very memorable, and it's just a really great song. There are some other really good tracks, like Danger Zone has a very late 70s heavy metal sound. There's Eye of the Storm, which has more of a modern sound. I would even say semi-alternative rock type of guitar sound. There was Janie the Fox with some awesome bass and keyboards and kind of had like a different feel. And then some songs sounded like big arena rock and like 80s heavy metal. That would be tracks like I Can't Stand Waiting. Overall, I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. I've always been a casual fan of Michael Schenker, but his last few albums have been pretty good. That is all for now. Check out this playlist of all my 2025 end of the year content. I will be adding videos as I make them, so if you missed any of the other ones, you can find them here in this playlist. Next videos will be for rock, death metal, and black metal. In the meantime, thanks for watching. If you like this video, helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you're not already. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.